Let's get real. When we see changes hit the Division 2, there is a fair bit of skepticism within the community. Skepticism as to the motivation, skepticism if it will function as advertised, and many times just outright anger at the changes once installed. But lately, we've seen changes hit the live game that are either framed in a positive light or just outright mistakes. And I see people out there feeling like the crew at Massive are monkeying around with the game as if they were intentionally trying to screw things up. What's going on, everybody? It's LtBuzzLitebeer, and welcome back to the channel. I had a bit of time this morning, some thoughts on all of this that is going on with the live game, and backed by viewer demands, absolutely zero script. You guys seem to love it when I just let it fly, so this one is for you. Before I get started, remember to smash that big, beautiful subscribe button for more intensive Division franchise coverage. And while you're at it, don't forget to ring the notifications bell and set your notifications to receive all. Really important on that one, or you could miss my latest upload. Lots of little items we need to get through today, so let's just talk it all out. So as I started to conceptualize my ideas for today's video, the basic impetus for all of this was thinking back to the changes that have hit the live game. And I'm thinking back to, let's say, TU15. That's when the Division 2 kind of returned from the dead, and we started off with this new seasonal content, the new story-driven lore, etc. Ever since that moment hit the live game, there have been changes that have been gradually popping into the game, whether you're for them or against them. But many times these changes hit the game, and I don't think, and this is just my honest opinion, I don't think the developer team actually knows what's going to happen and or anticipates the changes that are hitting the game. So in anticipation for this commentary, because I'm just flying off the cuff here, I just took down some that came off the top of my head, and I'm just going to rattle through this list very quickly for you. We've got the Dark Zone contamination gear. We know that they're discussing putting exotics as contaminated drops into the Dark Zone. There's the Dr. Home exotic, and that whole fiasco of it's going to be the only reward for the General Anderson final manhunt, and then now we're going to give everybody the Dr. Home, and the possibility that the exotic farm, which is going to be wiped away. Classified missions now have difficulty and directives. Same thing with raids. I've seen videos popping up about that. For me, ever since TU15 went live, crashing on PC has just been rampant. It's a little better now, but it's still pretty evident to the point that I refuse to raid. We can also think back to Picaro's holster. We were told over and over, and it was actually, I guess, scripted out and texted over on the known issues board that the core attribute for Picaro's holster was going to be able to recalibrate between weapon damage, skill tier, and an armor core, and you were going to have that option. Obviously, it didn't turn out that way. We've also seen issues over for you PvPers, shrapnel trap, which is apparently, according to the known issues board, set to be added in TU17. The next fix for it, which is the actual splash damage from the shrapnel trap if you throw it in the air and it deploys up there. But that was first added to the Trello board way back in July 2022. So you're thinking half a year there, or 5-6 months. And I guess we could also add into this, and maybe we can talk about this, specialization revamp, which I personally don't think is going to happen, or it's not going to happen anytime soon. And then I've seen other suggestions out there. People want changes made to expertise, the expertise system, especially because the costs are just very unrealistic once you hit, I think it's expertise level 10 or 11 when it starts charging you exotic components. So let's jump back to the top of this list, and I think a lot of these are interrelated. As I look at this list, again, the Dark Zone, the Dr. Home, the classified missions with directives, raids, crashing issues, Picaro's, shrapnel trap, and then I guess if we continued on, specialization revamp and expertise, I think what happens many times with these is, and I'm just being honest here, I don't think the dev team over there right now, and I'm saying it massive, but I don't know if so much hit massive. It could be over at Bucharest. I don't think they have the technical know-how, the intimate understanding of how to code within the framework of this game. And let's be honest here, I think Division 2 has continued way past its expiration date, and we're starting to see some issues with this game. We're not starting to, we're definitely seeing some issues with this game, much like Destiny 2, where the game just became so bloated they had to twilight raids and certain weapons and certain modes and everything like that, which is honestly something we should probably do with the Division 2. You know, you could go in there and maybe cut out Kinley College, the classified missions. I personally advocate to get rid of the Summit. I know I'll probably get flamed in the comments for this, but it's just, you know, we've got Countdown now, which is basically the same thing. You know, set it to targeted loot, run through it in half the time, and boom. Or not half the time, just a fraction of the time. But as we look at these, like for instance, let me just take this one, the classified missions, difficulty, and directives. Like now you can go in and set your classified missions. They will actually match the difficulty of your open world with directives, and the same thing with raids. And I saw some comments out there like, you know, the devs are purposely doing this and they're trying to jinx or hurt these modes. And honestly, just I don't think they even knew what they were doing. Like they were working on B file over here, and the things that controlled the difficulty and the directives for these, you know, the classified missions and the raids was over here in F file, and they didn't even look at it. Like I don't think there's a QC team even in effect for this game. So I think you're reading too much into this when anyone places this out there like they're purposely trying to do this. Now, if we're talking about Summit Floor 10, yes, that was on purpose. They clearly saw that people were using that to gain quick XP, and they were flying through the seasons, and you know, you could argue that there was money to be lost for not buying seasonal passes and stuff. That was directly on purpose. When we talk about classified missions with difficulty directives, raids with directives, yeah, I think you're giving them too much credit. Like they purposely went in there and said, "Hey, let's do this," because they didn't even put it into the patch notes. Now we've seen things not hit the patch notes before, but these are big things. You'd think you'd want to put it in there like, "Hey guys, we gave you the ability to go in there, and now you can set your difficulty for the classified missions. You can go in and add directives and get tons of XP on raids." You would think those would hit the patch notes. Those are big items, and they didn't. As far as the Dr. Home exotic as an only reward, remember we went through I don't know how many different iterations of that discussion. At first, I thought they were just going to completely nix out every exotic, especially from how the comms team was kind of responding to questions about it. And then it became, you know, anytime you finished the General Anderson manhunt, you were going to only get the Dr. Home. And then all of a sudden it was everyone's going to get one, you know, as a sorry for what's been going on and things like that. I think the developer team, the people working on the coding just said, yeah, we can't make it do what you want it to do. But I think there may be, and I'm just reading into this, I think there may be an issue with them trying to install all the exotics into the open world general loot pool. And maybe there's something that they just can't do. Maybe it's a problem with like certain exotics that were tied to WONI now being tried to pull into DC. I don't know. I'm just kind of just voicing this all out. Maybe it's easier for them to try to do it into the Dark Zone. Now, I am an opponent to just putting these into Dark Zone contamination drops. I want to see these in the open world, because I think even if you put these just over into the Dark Zone, it's still not going to drive up player engagement. You're still going to see, maybe you'll see a little bump in players cross-populating between PvE and PvP, but for the most part, people are not going to go into the Dark Zone. Why don't they go into the Dark Zone? Because they don't like the Dark Zone. So even if you just throw it out there that, hey, you could get, you know, this raid exotic or this raid exotic, you know what? They're probably still not going to try to go in there. Put them in the open world. Moving down, crashing with PC. I put this as a note. Crashing with PC ever since new season TU15 went live. I've documented this. I put videos up on it. Once again, I think it's just an issue of them not being able to come to grips with the complexities of the game engine. Just speaking off the cuff here, anytime I boot up Division 2, my PC, which is a monster PC, sounds like it sounds like a Ferrari spooled up with a turbo. To give you an idea, all the fans just go berserk. It's doing its absolute best to try to cool the thing off. I've seen people actually blaming the Division 2 for their CPUs burning out because it just absolutely maxes out Core 1. It's an odd occurrence. Anytime I play Division 2, even on my monster rig in 4K, it sounds weird. There's something going on within the coding of the game. I know some of you are out there on console, you have crashing issues. As far as Picaro's holster, I was kind of bummed about this. Once again, I don't know. I don't know if this was ultimately a design choice for them, or was this just something they couldn't actually make work. I know they came out with that explanation like we'd have to go in and recode every piece of gear in the game. I don't know if I agree with that, but it's certainly it would follow the MO for this team. They're not able to kind of do exactly what they want to do within the game. I don't know if it's the bloat of the game, or if I don't know if that's their lack of understanding with the game engine. Shrapnel trap, I already mentioned this. This has been a known issue for a long time. It was first added to the Trello board back in July 2022. Now, it was known before then, but it was just added to that board then. And it's set to be, I guess the secondary fix for this is set to be added in TU17. They're going to test it out in the PTS sometime early this month, apparently. Maybe I'll go and try it out and see if it works and bring an update to the channel on that. But you kind of see a pattern here where they try to do something. It sort of works, but then it has unintended consequences on 7 different other items within the game because I think everything is so closely interwoven. Now, that leads me to the final bit of this, and I've been receiving, every now and then I receive a question, what about the specialization revamp? You know, that's going to be awesome. I can't wait for that. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, if at all. Just being honest here, if the team is as limited as what I believe it is, and what probably many of you believe it is, where they're holding on by the skin of their fingernails, you know what I mean? They're just clawing back into the game. You're talking about a major specialization revamp. All the specializations have to be reworked. You have to come up with different nodes, balancing issues, etc. I mean, if they're struggling, you know, when they go in and they make a change in the game and all of a sudden classified missions now have difficulty and directives along with raids, what's going to happen with a full specialization revamp? You know what I'm saying? The final bit here is, I've seen this suggested too, for all of the heartache and mistakes and everything that's going on with the game. Sometimes there's progression, reverts and stuff. I mean, the suggestion has flown around that they need to go in and change the expertise system to reduce the cost. I don't personally see this happening either. I think it would require too much math, too much changing within the coding for the game on the dev side. I'm just being realistic here. If I could look over to the team and I could say, okay, I see this person, this person, this person, this person, this person. They're all veterans. I know their capabilities. I know they've been on the team for 6 years, 8 years, etc. I might say, yeah, okay. I have belief that expertise could be adjusted and adjusted accordingly, or a specialization revamp happen and be, you know, somewhat balanced from the beginning. But I don't know anyone on this team. I don't know how large the team is. It's all been kind of just, you know, hush hush. So I personally don't see that happening at all. So I guess the full overview of this is, as I look at all of this and I start to take it all in, Dark Zone, Dr. Home, classy missions, raids with directives, crashing on PC, Picaro's, Shrapnel Trap, spec revamp, expertise. I would say that they are just holding on. I'm saying them, the devs. They're just holding on to this game. They're just able to keep it functional at this point with their skeleton crew or with their rookie crew or whatever they've got going on. So when you start to see people out there saying that, well, they're doing this to purposely try to affect that, they're purposely monkeying with these things, I think you're giving them too much credit. I think they're just stumbling into things, and then when they can, they just try to paint it as a win, and when they can't make it work, they're just reverting it. And that's it. Kind of how I feel about all these changes and their unintended consequences, along with my overall thoughts and impressions. But I'm interested to know what you think of it all. Make sure to leave me a comment and I will do my best to respond. Remember to smash that sub button for more intensive Division coverage, and don't forget to ring the notifications bell. If you could also rate and or share this video, it would be greatly appreciated. Remember, you can find and follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and over in my community Discord server. Links to all of these can be found in the video description and pinned comments below. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.